This meeting is being recorded.
It would be so nice to start an episode without being heavily interrupted by Karen McAllister over here. Like that would be nice. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to season 2, episode 16 of the Yellow Card podcast, proudly presented to you by our sponsors over at StudentUnionSports.com. Make sure you check out the website, StudentUnionSports.com. Every day, new content written to you by independent writers, college students coming into the journalism arena, bringing you everything. March Madness coming up in just a few weeks. We got a lot of soccer content to deliver to you today. Football draft picks and whatever else, whatever you're looking for, they got the content. Just make sure you check them out. No subscription needed. Might as well just trust, like I said, youth and up and coming people from colleges just looking to write in journalism. So why not give them a shot? StudentUnionSports.com. Make sure to check them out. Jonesy and I, Diego, here, episode 16. Got a lot of soccer to talk about today because we got a seriously packed week of football, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, just gotta spin the wheel here. Let Mr. Jones go ahead and spin the wheel and tell us what he wants to start with, because you know what? We're not even gonna let you know the topics we're bringing up. We're just gonna go at random. So let's get started with it.
Jeez, I was hoping for a more attractive person for the wheel. Oh, look, Champions League. We're back.
Oh, Champions League. Okay, we like Champions League.
We do like Champions League. Let's dive in. So last week's Champions League total.
Well, wait. Before you get started, I just wanna introduce a little something for the Champions League. Now that's attractive. Let's get it started.
I hate my co-host so much. How is it that we've gone through now? We're on network number 2, and they still give us a podcast together.
I don't know.
But this is
content creation, ladies and gentlemen.
What we do. It's what we do around here.
Yes, sir.
Champions League. First one we're going to start off with. Obviously, hold on. Let me get into last week. Diego, get the broom out. Diego went 4-0 last week perfectly. 4-0, clean sweep across the board. I 2-2. A couple draws that didn't happen. Potentials the draws could have happened as well in both of those games. So I was a bad bounce away from being 4-0 as well. So, but with that being said, we're sitting here, updated Champions League records. Yes, I have them this time. It's actually pretty funny because Diego and I actually tied at 61 and 39 in the Champions League. That is, if you do math, right? So 61 plus 39 equals 100. That's 61% hit ratio for you boys. So pay attention. But see, you know what the funny thing was, Diego? You know what? And this just makes me feel even better about myself is just looking back, right? And looking at my Champions League plays from last week.
Yep.
Boy. Let's see. We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 2, plus 2.75 units. I got Dortmund over Chelsea, which you and I both saw coming. I trusted you, and I bet Benfica over Club Brugge. They won 2-0. I stuck to our gut. AC Milan at home over Tottenham.
Yep.
Hit that, and then under 2.5 goals. I had under half a goal in the first half of that game. That didn't progress, and then I took the draw in Bayern Munich and PSG because I believed PSG was going to draw that one. So 4 and 2 plus 2.75 units in the quarterfinal round so far for your boy. Make sure you stay tuned for that on my Twitter page because those are dropping like flies, baby.
Yes, sir.
let's dive in. First game we're talking about, we got Frankfurt at home hosting Napoli. This is interesting.
Yeah, so we got a pretty good German team that's adapting pretty well to a high press system that's being implemented into their squad at the moment, following inspiration by Rangnick and a couple other coaches in the league. Meanwhile, Napoli's just on a tier. They are on a whole other level right now in their league. They're full of their stride, and rightfully so. They build a good program there. They got a good thing going on over there. For those reasons, I'm actually gonna ride with Napoli right now, and I'm gonna go 1-0 Napoli.
So you could get Napoli 1-0. So Napoli in their league this year so far in 23 matches are 22-1.
Yep.
Their one loss came to Inter Milan on January 4th. So they haven't lost a game since January 4th in league. They lost
if I'm not mistaken, that loss came at the heels of several people actually suspended via red card for Napoli.
I believe
it was like two or three starters that had accumulated yellow cards that were not able to be available for that game, and therefore that's where Inter got the edge.
Potentially. I also think the fact that they were at home definitely helped as well.
Oh well, yeah.
But so I think one of the big things to come in looking is the health of Victor Osimhen for Napoli. If he can't go, that offense already takes a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played in 3 Champions League games this season, 1 goal, I believe 6 shots, 2 of them being on net. However, he's been on fire in the Serie A. I believe he reached 100 goals quicker than Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo did.
Yep.
Competition, which is an incredible feat. He's definitely going to be missed if he is to miss time there. However, the Italian sides usually do very, very well against the German sides. I know, obviously, we saw Dortmund and Inter have a good battle the last couple of years. I'm actually going to go Napoli on the road here. I think they take advantage early, and I think they win 2-0.
All right.
Next one. We got Liverpool hosting Real Madrid. This is a rematch of the Champions League final from a year ago. Liverpool looked really healthy last week. This past weekend, playing at Newcastle. Newcastle's Nick Pope also getting a red card, which is huge for everybody else in the league. So their next Prem game, he will not be able to play. What do you think for this matchup here? Because I have emotions.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool is definitely on the come up again. It's starting to trend the right way for them. They're starting to get back to some healthy levels that they need to be at in order to even be in the top 4 for the Premier League. However, Madrid continues to be in a pretty good stride. Even though they're not in first place in La Liga, they're still in a very good form right now. I think this is a game where the injuries, unfortunately for Liverpool, are too much to overcome. And it will be clearly pronounced during the game. I mean, you don't have Konate available. You don't have Luis Diaz. You don't have Arthur Melo available either. Those are 3 pretty important names to be out of your lineup. Luis Diaz is a playmaker. Konate is a pretty good defender. And Arthur Melo is the CDM that you guys are missing at the moment. So with that being in place, I think this isn't a blowout game by any means, but I think this is a close game. I'm going to go 2-1 Madrid. And I'm keeping in mind that Ferland Mendy and Tony Kroos are missing for Madrid as well. But I'm just saying Madrid, unfortunately, is the more inferior team at this point.
See, I really like what's making it easier for me to pick is I love that Liverpool's back four are all finally healthy again.
Yep, that's very important.
This foursome has not been healthy in a very long time. We got Robertson, we got Virgil van Dijk, we got Joe Gomez, who's been the missing piece as the center back, and we have Trent Alexander-Arnold back there. The midfield's a little shaky. In the last game we started, who did we start? Fabinho, Henderson, and Bachet.
Yep.
But the trio up front of if they can get going again, Nunez, Gakpo, and Mohamed Salah, man, they could get going early against this Liverpool team, against this Real Madrid team. We could have a completely different story. I think the big thing is Real Madrid is probably better than us, I would say. I think a little bit more talented, and however, I do think the hot streak of Thibaut Courtois has cooled off a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm actually going to take a 1-1 draw in this game.
It's not bad.
No. It's not what I want, but it's not bad.
But it's also not unrealistic. So
no. And also, too, if you think about it, in the Champions League, Mohamed Salah is tied in goals. He has 7 goals in the Champions League as well. Yeah. And another big factor in the Champions League earlier in the season was Diego Jota, who could come on. He's also tied with Lionel Messi for the most assists in the Champions League as well.
Yep.
All right. Let's go to the Wednesday slate of games. We got Inter Milan and FC Porto at Inter.
Yeah, so I like Porto's chances right here. They're playing pretty good football right now. Inter Milan is still playing some decent football. Unfortunately, the youth of Porto at the moment is what brings them that edge over Inter Milan. I'm going 1-0 Porto.
Diego, I'm going to go in a different direction here, I think. I think Porto's good, don't get me wrong. But if you remember earlier on in the year, when they were playing in Champions League, right, they lost twice. They lost to Club Brugge at home, which was a bad loss. They got killed 4-0 at home.
Yep.
And then beat them at Club Brugge 4-0. But they also lost at Atletico Madrid. On the road, in their last 2 UCL games, they've won by a combined 7-0. However, after losing their first 2, they won 4 straight. I think this is how I think it plays out. I think Inter squeaks a 2-1 victory out to take the advantage going back to Porto. And then I think Porto wins the next leg 2-0, and they move on to the quarterfinals.
It's a 2-1 Inter. Got it.
2-1 Inter for this first matchup, yes.
All right.
Last one, we have RB Leipzig hosting Manchester City.
Sure thing. It is a Leipzig stadium. It's a pretty good arena to play at. However, it's Manchester City. They got a chip on their shoulders to reconvey to the European market that is still the top dog in Europe right now, and that is still a heavy competitor. I think this is one of those circumstances where they're able to prove that, and it's a 2-1 City win.
So looking at these games again that Leipzig has played in the Champions League, they lost at Real Madrid. They lost at Borussia Gladbach. No, I'm sorry. They lost to Real Madrid. They lost at home against Shakhtar Donetsk. Then they beat Celtic twice. They beat Real Madrid at home in a nail biter, and they beat Shakhtar on the road. City, however, man, they've yet to lose in the Champions League this year. Going back to November when they last played, they beat Sevilla 3-1 handedly. They drew with Borussia Dortmund. They drew with Copenhagen. So they didn't play at their best. So, I mean, do I think Leipzig has a realistic chance of beating them? There's potential there, 100%. But I think, like you said, City is too talented, and we're going to see it in the class act. I'm actually going with Manchester City 2-0 in that one.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit to the context there, Leipzig and City have faced themselves twice in the Champions League so far. The first one was a Manchester City win 6-3. That was back on September 15th. And then back up to December 7th, of 2021 season, Leipzig actually won 2-1 against City. When you look at their last 5 matches, their form is very similar. It's still basically the same. 3 matches won, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So pretty even teams, but I think like you said, City's just the more talented squad out of the two. That's what brings them the edge.
What was your score again?
2-1.
2-1. Okay. City, correct?
Uh-huh.
However, looking at other trends here, this is the third time that they've drawn an English side in the Champions League. They won both games against Spurs in 2019-2020.
Yep.
But then they got beaten by Liverpool in 2020-2021. And then I believe City's only lost one of their previous 17 against German side in Champions League. Their only defeat was against actually RB Leipzig. So.
All right, so
yeah.
let's just switch it over real quick to the Premier League. We have a pretty good slate of games for this weekend. We just gotta go over them quickly. It's not a lot of games, but a few of them postponed due to action happening middle of the week for several clubs. Therefore, that's why they were postponed. So let's go quickly through them. We're gonna start off with Fulham taking on Wolves. What do you got?
To clarify, they canceled 2 games this week because of the Carabao Cup final this weekend.
Right.
Nothing about
Well, I mean, when you look at the games that are postponed, it's Newcastle versus Brighton, Manchester United versus
Brentford.
Brentford. Thank you.
But both they're playing in the Carabao Cup final this weekend.
Correct. Yeah. So they got action going on somewhere else. That's what I said.
No, but I see. I misheard you then because I thought you said in the middle of the week.
Right. Manchester United's got action in the middle of the week because of the Europa League.
They do.
And then on top of that, they have the EFL Cup. So that's why I said what I said.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So Fulham at home over Wolves.
Yep.
Fulham's been a good home team this year. If you look at the table, they're currently 6th right now. 38 points, 3 points ahead. A team like Brighton, Liverpool, and Brentford. 6-3-3 at home. They've gotten point in 75% of their home games. Wolves on the road, 2-3-6.
Yeah, not very good.
Not a lot happening. I think Wolves keeps it close. I'm gonna go Fulham 1-0.
And he begins. Okay. Just so you guys know, 1-0 Fulham as well for me. Everton taking on Villa. What do we got?
So is that Everton or is that Villa?
I believe it's at Everton. Let me triple check.
Yes, it is at Everton, correct. Just let me see here. Everton at home this year, 4-2-6. Getting points in 50% of those games. Aston Villa on the road, 3-2-6. Aston Villa also came off of a what should have been a big victory over Arsenal last week, but they choked towards the end.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with a 1-1 draw for 2 reasons. One, because I think both these teams are kind of equal in the sense. And Sean Dyche and company, he is very infamous for not letting up goals, but I think they give up one late here, so that'll lead to a 1-1 draw. And second, Chris Kavanagh is a ref in this game. VAR.
Yep. I got the same exact score, 1-1 draw, Everton in Villa. Let's go over to North London, where we see Leicester City taking on Arsenal at King Power Stadium. Leicester City played a pretty good game against Manchester United. Unfortunately, overpowered by Manchester United. Honestly, that's really what it is. I see a 2-1 score here against Arsenal. What do you got? For Arsenal,
I got 2-0 Arsenal. I think Arsenal's deeper. I think Leicester still hasn't fully recovered this season. So I think it's still going to take them a little bit of time to get going. I know we're on, I believe, match day 26,
Yep.
24. But I'm gonna go Arsenal 2-0.
All right. We got West Ham taking on Nottingham Forest. Both teams kind of trending down a lot. West Ham actually in the relegation zone right now. I don't see a lot of differences between these two teams. I don't know about you. I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw. I think this is a very fair and even game.
I see two differences. Actually, no, I see similarities here. One, they both play really well at home.
Yep.
West Ham I'm sorry, they play better at home. West Ham's at home, Nottingham Forest on the road, and especially because. So see, here's the thing. I just said this to myself last week. I have to realize that Nottingham Forest has good players now, and they have Navas in net.
Yep.
So I have to remember that. However, I think this team needs to win more. I'm going to go with West Ham squeaking a 1-0 victory.
Oh, okay. All right. I like that. All right. We got the battle for Jesse Marsh. Leeds taking on Southampton. It is at Ellen Road. I believe Leeds right now is looking like a much better team now under new management, new temporary management, because they still have yet to figure out who's going to be the next head coach. Although we have a few names out there that have trended lately. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Leeds victory over Southampton here.
Southampton has 5 wins on the year. 4 of them have been on the road. Leeds has 4 wins this year. 3 of them have been at home.
Yeah.
1 point in 7 out of the 11 home games this year. That's pretty good. Yes, I'm going to go Leeds. I'm going to go Leeds 2-0. I think Southampton is just – they need a year down. They need to get the year down. Once they do that, I think they'll be fine when they come back up.
We like it. All right, we got Bournemouth taking on Manchester City. It is at home. The Cherries are just not. There's not much to offer for the Cherries right now against a Manchester City side that's just trying to catch up quickly to Arsenal and close the gap even more. I'm gonna go with a 2-0 City win.
Why are you going to do this to me, huh? Man City looking to bounce back after drawing on the road in Nottingham Forest last week. Bournemouth, points in 7 out of the 11 home games. City's just too much better. I'm going to go City 2-0, just like Diego.
All right. Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park taking on Liverpool. I actually like how Liverpool is looking right now as they bounce back to healthier statuses. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, kind of starting to flatten out a little bit. Don't like it too much with Crystal Palace against a very, very dangerous side like Liverpool right now is trying to use the momentum that they picked up this past weekend to then get on top 4, maybe even 5 for the Premier League. With that in play, I'm gonna go with a 2-0 Liverpool victory. Excuse me.
Again, this is. I sit here and I honestly and truly, Diego, I can't pick them because last week I took them to the draw with Newcastle, and they played well. I have to stick with my gun that they stink. Maybe they'll win. The fact that it's at Selhurst makes me just. I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw. I'm not gonna overthink it. I'm gonna play for the draw. So when the draw happens, I look good, and when Liverpool wins, I'm even happier.
What a cop-out answer. I like it.
Correct.
All right, we got Tottenham taking on Chelsea. Not looking good for Chelsea. A team that has spent about, I don't even know, 200 mil, maybe even more on signings this past January transfer window alone, and still just not anywhere near close to the team that they thought they would be. They're still middle of the table right now. Not a lot of production happening, and I'm seriously starting to question the Graham Potter strategy here because nothing is working. Just absolutely nothing. There is no chemistry in that team at all. There's no identity. There was at least one with Thomas Tuchel, and everybody feared Chelsea. Right now, I don't think I can fear Chelsea that much. It is Tottenham, however. Tottenham's still playing in the top 6 for the Premier League, playing pretty good. I'm going with a 1-0 Tottenham victory here. They just look like a much more powerful team right now.
I agree. One thing, ready for this, Diego?
Yeah.
So Chris Kavanagh is the fourth official in this game.
Of course he is. Makes so much sense. And let me guess who's refereeing. Stuart Atwell?
Yep. Jesus, I'm dying. But one of the best things about Chris Kavanagh is, and when you look at this, and I'm 100% going to take them because of this now, the oh my God, this is so bad. So in 11 games that Chris Kavanagh has refed in the Premier League for Tottenham, their record is 7-2-2. Right? But get this, Diego. This is where it gets interesting. He's refed 12 games for Chelsea. Do you know what his record is in those games?
No idea.
Look at my face when I say this. 11-0-1.
Oh my God.
Makes me like Chelsea. Makes me like both. Just kidding. Tottenham's a better team. Don't fall for it. Tottenham 2-0. Do you know what's even more disgusting as I'm looking at the records of all these teams?
Yep.
Remember when I said I hate Chris Kavanagh?
Yeah.
He's ref 12 Liverpool games.
And all 12 have been bad.
Liverpool is 10-0-2 in those games.
Yep.
Give me Chris Kavanagh, please.
Yeah, I don't blame it.
United is 5-3-2 in 10 games that he's refed for them.
Yeah, United can't stand Chris Kavanagh at all. So,
wow, a lot of winning records for teams. Who do you think is the team that Chris Kavanagh hates the most in
Arsenal.
In the Prem? That's incorrect. That is incorrect, my friend.
So then,
Arsenal is 8-2-5
actually
with him.
maybe City.
City's 5-2-0 with them. They've never lost. Man, I should just look at most losses. Hold on. Oh, yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. You know who it is?
Who?
Leicester City.
Yeah.
He's refed 22 of their games. They've lost 12 of them.
Jesus.
Chris Kavanagh, everybody.
Yeah, that's really it. All right. Premier League talks almost over. We have some important news to break out as well because the bidding for Manchester United was submitted this past Friday. We know several investors that have dipped their toes into the bidding process. Obviously, the Range Group has to vet out those bids, select the people that they think would make the most sense to take over Manchester United. A lot of speculation whether people actually bid for the full amount or if they're going for a partial amount and then some other projects behind it. But some of the important aspects to point out of this bid is the people who are bidding for it. We know that Qatar is bidding for Manchester United. We know that Saudi Arabia is also bidding for Manchester United. We know that there's heavy interest out of big names here in America as well. And we also know that Sir Jim Ratcliffe also bidded for Manchester United. One of the names that was not really talked much about that recently just surcharged onto the top of the list is none other than current owner of Twitter, the social media website, Elon Musk. Apparently, and according to multiple reports, he submitted a bid for Manchester United, and is amongst some of the candidates that are being heavily considered for the takeover. From an outsider's point of view, just kind of want to get your thoughts. If you were to sell Manchester United right now, who would you sell it to? Qatari money, Saudi Arabian money, American, or just stick to English?
Definitely wouldn't do Qatarian. Maybe Saudi Arabian because we've seen what they've done so far with Newcastle and how they've progressed. American, I mean, last American owner that has bought a team in the Prem. Looks like an absolute dumpster fire right now in Chelsea. I think I would try and stay English potentially. I'd go English or Saudi, realistically. Here, I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, like if Bezos buys it, they're going to be fine. But if it's not Bezos, I wouldn't let any other American touch this because what's going to happen is, and Diego, you and I both know that if an American team, if an American businessman buys this team, Manchester United is going to become the most unsufferable team in the United States of America.
Yep.
So for purpose sake, keep it out of the U.S. unless Bezos has it, then we'll be fine. But English or Saudi?
Don't hate it. I actually wouldn't mind the Qatari route. I just think, unfortunately, out of Qatar, with the amount of investment groups that are there, and they all report under the same umbrella, the Qatari Sports Investment Group, I think that actually brings a lot of dangerous problems over to Manchester United. With the potential payback of being not even being able to participate in Champions League because of that same ownership, even though it's different identities. It could, the Champions League protocols could very well be changed, and Manchester United could get kicked out, or PSG could get kicked out of the Champions League. It's more likely that Manchester United would, considering that there's a lot of English teams already in the Champions League. However, very intrigued with the American participants right now. We talked about Jeff Bezos being one of them, Elon Musk being another one, but also nobody's talking much about Apple and Tim Cook. If Apple is to take over Manchester United, that is a huge step forward for Manchester United. We know that the amount of technological updates that need to be done for Manchester United internally in the training grounds and for their own internal purposes is a gigantic overtaking, which for Apple, it would be quite an amazing contract to have. We know that we need the money to be invested there, and what more stable company right now than Apple to invest in Manchester United. The problem is there the mentality for football there for Apple if they are to be the ones considered to go ahead and take over Manchester United? That's the main concern. I don't mind the Saudi Arabian bidding process there. I don't mind it at all. I agree with you. I like the route that they've taken with Newcastle and all. I just worry about the culture fitting correctly within ownership and what's going on in the club right now. I think those are two different things that might collide in terms of principles and might not go hand in hand. I'm not interested in the Jim Ratcliffe ownership. It's a good thought, don't get me wrong, but for the capital that he has, is very risky. And for a company that has about $20 billion to invest about 25% of their, year earnings on a team, I'd be worried. I'd be worried because what if the team actually needs more investments than just 5. The capital concern is there for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So I personally am against the English ownership. As much as I would like it to stay English, I just don't think it makes sense. But anyways, let's move on. We got finally, and last but not least, Carabao Cup. Huge game for 2 teams rightfully deserving on it. Newcastle, Manchester United. Give me some highlights, some thoughts, hot takes, everything. Give me the whole spiel right here.
This is going to be a tough game, both sides.
Yep.
I mean, Newcastle's lucky that they have Nick Pope for this game because he has been a wagon for them this year. I believe actually he leads the Prem in clean sheets again.
Yeah,
I think, right?
Yep. I think you're right.
I think he's got 12. I'm gonna double check my my knowledge here. Hold on, my brain at this hour sometimes isn't great. Clean sheets, he's got 12. David De Gea second with 10, which is fucking scary to think about. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, they're both sides. This is good for both managers. Someone's getting their first trophy under their new management. United, it would be their first trophy in a long time. Newcastle would be their first trophy in a long time as well.
Yep.
United hasn't won a trophy since what year?
I think since Mourinho.
Damn.
I think. Let me double check that.
I'm double checking Newcastle.
That was 2017, where they won the Europa League, beating Ajax 2-0 with goals by Paul Pogba and Henrik Mkhitaryan. So that means if it was Henrik Mkhitaryan, that means I'm right. Jose Mourinho was the last person to lift the cup for Manchester United.
Okay. I'm looking at Newcastle. I don't see them winning anything.
That's correct. So 2017, the last manager to win a trophy for Manchester United was Jose Mourinho. Let's see for Newcastle.
I don't think they've won anything, dude. I think they've won the EFL.
Well, their last major trophy was in 1955. More recently, the club has been League or FA Cup runner-ups on 4 occasions in the 1990s. Castle was then relegated in 2006, then again in 2016. On both occasions, the club won the promotional at first time of asking, returning to the Premier League as championship winners in 2010, 2017. So if we're going to talk about trophies, maybe 17 as well for Newcastle, having won the Championship League.
But also, so the last time they won the FA Cup was 54-55.
Correct. Yep.
The last time they won the Prem was 26-27.
Right.
So this is it means more to Newcastle, I think.
Of course, yeah.
So I think Newcastle gets it done. Let me say this. I think Newcastle gets it done. I'm not surprised if United wins this game because United has probably the best player in all of English football right now. In form, talented is Marcus Rashford. He's just an absolute beast. And I think on the big stage of Wembley, he can make a big impact. I just think Nick Pope and company, they're ready to go. They're locked in, and they're trying to bring back their first ever Carabao Cup trophy to Newcastle.
Yeah, I would technically agree with you much on that aspect. I just think, however, that the pressure of that having won a trophy for so long kind of gets onto them, considering that they got a good amount of new players to the organization. I think their main focus right now is returning to Champions League football, and I think that's where their focus is, and that's why they're in the top 4 right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know. For me, thinking about it, I'm gonna go Newcastle. Newcastle because I'm gonna say this. and I said this to you off camera. I'm going to say this to you on camera now for all the people to know. This Manchester United team needs to be talked about more in the English Premier League because they have a legitimate shot at winning the title this year.
I agree, and I kind of like that they're not getting talked about as much as they do because, and only because, a lot of this group right now is still very youthful, and when the focus is so much in them, they crack under that focus, and therefore, that concentration and discipline that Ten Hag has, incorporated so hard into the core of what this team is right now, I think could get demolished, and that's where the whole plan crumbles. You can't put too much focus on those guys. Let them keep grinding. Let them keep going under the radar. Let them keep showing that the results, and they're perfect.
So here's what their schedule looks like, right? So they got a big one this week on Thursday against Barcelona.
Yeah.
If they win, they move on in the Europa League. It's tied 2-2 in the aggregate.
Which, by the way, what a game that was.
Yeah, that was a good game. Then they get the EFL. They get the Carabao Cup final Sunday the 26th. Then Wednesday they play their FA Cup matchup against West Ham.
Yep.
But then they get back into the swing of things here. At Liverpool, which will be a tough game. Home against Southampton, that's a win. At Brighton, they should win. Newcastle, that'll be a tough one. Then Everton, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea. Those should be 3 easy games for them. At Tottenham will be tough. Aston Villa, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, Fulham. There's 14 games left. There is a realistic chance that they win 10 to 11 out of those games. And potentially only lose 1.
Yeah.
So that's, let's see, 10, 11. So let's say they go 11, 2-1. That's 33 and
That's 30. That's 35 points right there.
so that's 35 points, right? So that is going to put them at, so they're 49 now, 30 would be 79. That would put them at 84 points.
Yep.
Arsenal, Leicester, home against Everton, Bournemouth, Fulham, Palace, Leeds, at Liverpool, at West Ham, Southampton. They have to go back to City. Chelsea always plays them tough. At Newcastle, Brighton plays them tough. At Nottingham Forest, which is a tough place to play, and Wolves. Their fucking schedule is not easy at all. So I think realistically, Arsenal is sitting currently 5 points better than them. If United can finish 11-2-1, and Arsenal gets under 10 wins in the last 14 games, United is going to hoist the trophy. I don't see Manchester City being a problem. I think City, who's currently 3 points ahead of them, they got Bournemouth. Yeah, that should be an easy win for them. But then Newcastle, playing them tough. Crystal Palace, tough. West Ham, they should beat. Liverpool, tough. Southampton, they should beat. Leicester,
Tough.
Man City. Brighton, at Brighton will be tough for them. Then they got
Tough.
Arsenal. They're at Fulham. Fulham's a tough place to play. Leeds at home. At Everton, who will play them tough. At Brentford to end the year, that'll be tough. And they play Chelsea, who plays them tough always. So they don't have an easy schedule either. So realistically speaking here, Manchester United has a realistic chance of hoisting the trophy this year, especially if Marcus Rashford is going to continue the form that he is currently in.
No, I agree. And I think with some of the injuries also returning back to full stamina, it's going to help out a lot with Manchester United. I mean, Jadon Sancho just returned back from his his stamina performance in Norway that had put him through, and the guy looks phenomenal.
He looked good against Leicester this past week.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in better shape than this. So, I personally think, like I said, Manchester United could win this cup very well. I think it's just a matter of discipline. That's all it is.
So, yeah, I agree with that. But my big thing is, man, right? You think about it. They're playing a very important game in the Europa League and at home against Barcelona, who's probably one of the hottest teams in the world right now.
Who is the hottest team in Spain right now?
Correct. Yeah. So it's going to be a brawl, man. It's going to be an absolute fight. to the nail. I just don't know if they're going to be ready out of the gate against Newcastle because I have a feeling if they can't get going in the first half, they're going to struggle in that game.
Well, I mean, you're right, but I mean, you say that now, and you look at how they did against Leicester. Their first half was, like Ten Hag said, absolute rubbish. They were just not
Correct.
there at all. But once they turn on that switch, man, it is a scary, very scary team to face. Not because I'm a Manchester United fan or anything, but even if I was an Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, Tottenham fan, I would say the same thing. That is a team that once they flip the switch for the second half and they're full tilt, there is absolutely nothing stopping those guys at all. Nothing.
I agree, man.
So, you know, I think both of those matches are matches that you're gonna want to watch all 90 minutes because at any point, United or Barcelona or United and Newcastle could turn it on real fast and real heavy.
All right, let's do this because I meant to put this in the notes earlier, but the Europa League is going to be a dogfight on Thursday.
Yep.
So the only one that I realistically think that's automatically moving on right now is going to be Sevilla. They're 3-0. I mean, I'm sorry, they're 3-0. They're up 3-0 in the aggregate. They absolutely killed PSV in their first matchup. Other than that, everything's a goal differential. They're tied. So a lot of these matches. So, for example, Nantes and Juventus. Who moves on from that?
I'm going to give it to Juventus.
I agree with you, man. I think Juventus is a better team. I just think they need to show it against this Nantes team at Nantes as well. They can get a road goal early. This should be in good shape. Midland and Sporting, they're tied at 1 at Midland.
I'm going with Sporting.
See, like I want to disagree with you and take Midland because it'd be fun, but I think Sporting's just a better team. I like Sporting there. Monaco and Leverkusen. Monaco's up 3-2 in the aggregate.
I've learned that whenever you've been against a Portuguese team that's either under or about to go under, it's a bad idea. They're just grinders.
What about Monaco and Leverkusen?
I'm going with Leverkusen on this one, simply because, while Monaco's at home, I think that cockiness of being at home will turn off their switch, and I think Leverkusen is very dangerous when that happens. So,
see, I agree with you there, right? So, with Monaco being up a goal, I think Leverkusen wins this game 2-1, but I think Monaco moves on due to away goals.
Yeah, the goal differential, yeah. I could see that happening.
Next one, dude, this is – and I want to dive into this team as my last thing that I'm going to talk about tonight. But Union Berlin is hosting Ajax, and they're tied 0-0 in the aggregate right now. They drew at Ajax. What do you think?
Yeah, and Union Berlin is not a team that's being heavily talked about and really should be for all the right reasons. Everything that they're doing right now is just absolutely phenomenal. It's one of those teams that's flying heavily under the radar, and they shouldn't be. Ajax, on the other hand, they have a lot to deliver here. All their eggs are in one basket right now. Because of that, and because they're good under pressure, I'm gonna go with Ajax here. But I see it not being a major win. I see it being like a 1-0 victory, if that.
I'm gonna go Union Berlin to carry on, man. This team is fun. They're hot right now. You can ride the hot hand. I think at home the crowd's gonna be going, and Ajax is gonna have some trouble.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that being the case too, and I agree. That's why I'm going with a conservative victory here for Ajax, but I want to be very hopeful.
What about Roma and Salzburg? Salzburg's up 1-0 in the aggregate.
Yeah, the good thing here is that Roma get to close it out at home, and if there is a team that can deliver passion with a passionate coach at home, it's Roma right now. I'm putting my eggs in one basket here with Jose Mourinho being the fire for Roma. 2-0.
I feel you, man. I'm with you on that. I think Roma moves on.
Yeah, I'm going 2-0 here.
Rennes and Shakhtar.
This is an interesting game too. Rennes is playing very good football. Shakhtar as well. It is a Rennes. However, Shakhtar is a very dangerous team at an away game. I'm going Shakhtar here.
I'm going Shakhtar as well, man. It makes too much sense.
Yep.
And then obviously we touched upon this United Barcelona. Such a great game last week when they played. It's going to be even better this time around at Old Trafford. But at Old Trafford, United's going to get the job done, and they're going to move on.
Yeah, I agree with that too. It is home is very important for Ten Hag. Ten Hag is one of those coaches that makes his home field heavily respected. Xavi, on the other hand, I think the pressure of the whole entire stadium being loud enough for them against Manchester United at home, I think it's gonna come down to a thing of discipline for Barcelona because they're a very emotionally involved team. Where that is where Manchester United can thrive, and that's where they can find those holes and those gaps that they were unable to find when they were at Camp Nou, last week.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we got much more coming up because the first leg of the round of 16 games takes place on March 9th.
Yep.
So that's a good one. And Arsenal also is awaiting see who they'll play. They could get a team like Juventus. They could get Monaco. They could get Roma. There's so many good teams left in this European League draw that they could get. So I'm curious to see how this all plays out. But those are the teams we got moving on to the round of 16. And then any final thoughts you got?
Again, man, a lot of big teams right now delivering heavily, but not being talked about at all, not being given the little glare in the mirror that they deserve to be given. Union Berlin, they got a battle for first place coming up this weekend as well.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I mean, I put the TikTok up on it earlier. I think it's the most important game this weekend. As much as I love the Carabao Cup, as much as I love Champions League during the week, it's just they're in their third season ever in the Bundesliga.
Yep.
And every year they've improved. Obviously, they got the Europa League spot last year. They're currently in a three-way tie for first. It's them, Dortmund, and Bayern. They're at Bayern. This is a chance for them to make a statement. And in order to do that, they need to come out on top. I'm very much so staying tuned and watching this game this weekend. Actually, I believe that is taking place that's Saturday.
Saturday, I believe, yeah.
Nope,
Yeah.
Sunday, 11:30 Eastern. So that'll be 8:30 Pacific since I'm on the road this week. So I will be up at 8:30 watching that game.
Oh, you will be on the other side of the country. Okay.
I'll be in Portland, Oregon by then.
Oh, boy.
But one final thing. So with that TikTok video today, right? The Yellow Card Podcast TikTok is officially over 1,000 likes. 92 likes today. 1,038 likes on TikTok currently.
Oh, we like it.
And a very much so increase since I checked earlier in the show. So
that's what we like to hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we like to hear. In that note, thank you all so much for having tuned into this week's episode of the Yellow Card Podcast. Continue to watch us on YouTube. Truly appreciate all your support the past couple of weeks. Continue to tune in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you use to turn into our Audible podcast version. With that said, signing off, Diego DJ, Chris Jones. Until next week, see you guys all later.